guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make this dress. So first thing is that you're going to draft a basic bodice pattern. This is how I'm going to be making it. I have fabric folded into two, the second one also folded into two. So I'm going to be drafting a basic bodice dress pattern here. So the first one on top is just the width is my hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch, and then the length from here to the end is just 39. That's including my seam allowance. So I have 1.5 of seam allowance added to the length. So the first thing is going to be to go to the shoulder. Insert my shoulder divided by 2. Since it's going to be sleeveless, my shoulder divided by 2, it's normally 8, but I'm going to subtract 1 from it since it's sleeveless. And then I'm going to come down 1 inch of shoulder slope here, and then I'm going to insert my armhole, and then I'm also going to mark what the width is from here to here. Give it a curve like this. Come in here, insert my bust divided by 4. Go ahead and add my seam allowance. From the top again, I'm going to go down and mark my shoulder to my waist, wherever that is. The next thing is going to be to mark my shoulder to my hip, right? So now after that, I'm going to come to the waistline and I'm going to do my waist divided by 4. And then I'm going to add 2 inches to it, 1 inch of darting, 1 inch of seam allowance, or 1.5 of seam allowance. I'm going to go down to the hip, do the same thing, hip divided by 4 plus 1, and then leave it the way it is all the way down. After that, go ahead and connect everything. So from the waist to the hip, and then from the hip to the bust, just like that. Once it's done, go to the neckline, mark your 1 inch of neckline, sorry, your 3 inch for the neck opening. Connect your 1 inch of shoulder slope here, go up here, mark your 1 inch for the back neckline, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark 3 inch for my front neckline, and that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all this out all the way to the end. So guys, after that, you see what we have here. I've gone ahead and marked where my dart is going to be. So basically my dart is about your bust divided by 2, your bust point divided by 2 plus half an inch is what I use for this here. And then you see the waist part here. So I've gone ahead and marked where my dart will be. So these are the places my dart will be in front. So from my waist to 2 inch before my hip line, the same on this side, and then from my waist to my 1 inch before my bust point. And then I also went ahead and marked it at the back. So all I have to do is just to go ahead and pick. At the back is the same for the end here. The upper part goes up to the armhole, not before the bust point. It goes up to the armhole line. So now that I've marked what mine is going to look like, I'm going to go ahead, pick my dart, join the shoulder. If you're using lining, use lining to turn it over, or if you're using bias, you use bias to run it and then close up this side, and then we'll come back and finish it up. So in the meantime, we're also going to go ahead and cut what the jacket will look like. So you'll see what I have here. The fabrics are folded into two, exactly the same. None is bigger than the other, the same width, the same length. So what I did here is I want the jacket to be the same length as my shoulder to my underbust plus half an inch. So my shoulder to underbust would have been 15.5. So add half an inch to it is 16. So I did 1 inch below my underbust. Half an inch below my underbust is the length I want for the jacket. So that would be 16. I added 1 inch to it, so that is 17. The 1 inch is for my seam allowance. So half an inch for the upper part, half an inch for the lower part. So that is 17. If you look at it here, you see that this is 17 on the dot. So the same thing is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and draft a basic pattern. Shoulder divided by 2 again. I'm going to use 8 this time because it's going to have sleeve. I'm not subtracting 1. Come down 1 inch of shoulder slope. Go ahead, insert my armhole. Connect it all the way to the top. Give it a curve here. The width I have here is my bust divided by 4 plus about 1 inch or so. And then come down to the waist divided by 4. Down here you can do extra, like half an inch of ease, 1 inch of seam allowance. And then I'm going to connect it because there's no dart here, so I'm just going to connect it this way. All I have to do is just to go ahead now and cut everything out. Go to the neckline, mark 3 inch here for the neck width here, connect it. After that, I'm going to come down by 1 inch of neck depth, 1 inch for the neck depth, and then for the front neckline I'm going to do 3 inch. So I'm going to cut everything the same except for the front neckline until I separate it, then I can cut out the front neckline. So let me go ahead and cut it now. So guys, you notice that I've gone ahead and cut it out, neckline, everything out. So now I'm going to separate it, one for the back, one for the front. So this one is going to be my back, this is going to be the front. So the one that is going to be the front, I'm going to cut out this part here, the 3 inch of neckline, split it open down to the end, right? And then I'm also going to go to the armhole and reduce it a little bit by half an inch. And that is basically it for my jacket. So your jacket is going to have one big piece at the back and then 2 on each side like this. So the next thing I have to do is that I'm going to also go ahead and cut sleeve for this jacket. So guys, this is what we're using for the sleeve. The first thing I'm going to do is the width I have here is about 11 inch. So you can do your bust divided by your armhole divided by 2 and then add maybe 2 inch to it, or 1.5. And then I'm going to go ahead and come down here by 4 inch down here, connect it all the way to this end, halfway through, give it a curve above and then give it a curve below. Down here, insert what my arm width is, and then I'm going to add 1 inch of seam allowance and connect it all the way to this point. So this is my sleeve here. Connect it from here all the way. So I'm going to go ahead and cut. This is on a fold, you see. So I'm cutting 2 at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out all the way. So guys, this is our sleeve here, and the length I have here for the sleeve is 10 inch. That's including my seam allowance. And remember, this our sleeve is for the jacket. The dress doesn't have any zip. So what I'm going to do is, let me move everything aside now. So all I have to do is take this is my jacket, and then I'm going to cut out lining, exactly the same lining for both the front and the back of this jacket. So guys, this is what we have at the moment. I've gone ahead and joined the shoulder to the shoulder and the back of the jacket. I also, like I said, cut my lining, did the same thing, you see. So now I'm going to place the right side of my lining to the right side of my cloth, and then I'm going to join it together. So these are the parts I'm going to be sewing. So I'm going to go ahead and sew the neckline all the way, come back to the other side using half an inch. I'm going to go ahead and continue the stitch all the way down, all the way to this side. Do the same thing here, all the way down, all the way to this side too. So once it's done, I'm also going to come towards the back, sew it all the way like this straight, and then I'm going to flip it out. I'm not going to sew the armhole. I'm not going to sew the armhole, and then I'm also not going to sew the side seams. So I'm going to go ahead now, use half an inch to sew all these parts, and then I'm going to flip it out, iron it, and then insert my sleeve. You'll see my 2 sleeves here. I already have them ready. Each one is going to fit in here. So guys, this is the top here. Like I said, once you finish, you're going to go ahead and add your sleeve. Once you put in the sleeve, close up everything, and that is it. So you see, I've ironed it, but I've not ironed the main cloth itself. So this is what it looks like. You see my seam on the side here. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to set the jacket aside, and then we are going to go ahead and finish up the dress. So this is what we're doing for the dress. Like I said, you're just going to make it like a straight dress all the way down. This is the dress here. So let me move it so you can see. This is our dress. So you're going to make just a straight dress that goes down. And then the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and fold it into 2. And then I'm going to cut out the side. This is where my waist is. This is my hip line and this is my chest line. You see the lines that I had initially. So I folded the dress into 2 like this. The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and measure the mark I want to use for it. So I'm going to go from the waist, and then I'm going to go in by about, let's say, 3 inch. Instead of doing your nipple to nipple bust points, I'm not going to do that, because if you look at her own, it's just a little space in between. It's not up, it's not very wide, right? This style comes in different ranges. Some people, their center fabric is very wide. So for her, the one in the video is quite small. So let's say I decide to do 3 inch all the way down. So mark 3 inches all the way down. And then I'm going to just connect it all the way to the waist. So this is what we are working with here, you see? So my waistline, I marked 3 inch in between here, and then connected this all the way to this side. So that's it. I'm going to go ahead now, use my scissors and cut it on the 2 sides, both the front and the back. So guys, this is what we are working with here, you see? You notice that I just cut it all the way out like that. So now I'm going to take this out now. I'm going to go ahead and get my fabric. This fabric here is just the length of Akara, how Akara comes. Like you see the ends here. It's just that length of 45 that I'm using. I don't want much gather, so I don't mind. So this is what I'm going to add to each side of the flay. Because if I open this here, each side of the flay, you notice that it has this space for it. So the next thing is that the length I have for this fabric here is just that before I cut it, I went ahead and measured from the waist to the end of the dress, right? So you're going to measure from this waistline to the end. So what I got was about 22, I think. So that is what is going to be the length of the fabric here. But I added half an inch at the upper part so that I can be able to use that half an inch as my seam allowance here. So now you notice that I also went ahead and notched this upper part here. So let me open this one so you see. This is what we are working with right now. You see, this is it here. So we are going to be inserting gather on this side, gather on this other side. We are going to fit this one here, and then we are going to also fit this second one here. But before that, we need to cut it. So the way it is now, you notice that it's folded into 2. You see? So I'm going to fold it back. And then also get the other one folded into 2. The same thing. Fold it back again. Place the 2 of them together. I need to mark the curve on it. So set this one aside. Place these 2 fabrics together. Like this. And then I'm going to go ahead, take the piece that I cut out from the side of my clothes, which was this here. I'm going to use it to trace out the width I want for this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to, remember, there are 2 of them that we cut out, right? There are 2 of them for the 2 sides that we cut out. I'm just going to take one piece of it, rip it open, and then I'm just going to use one. I don't even need the 2, just one of it is what I need. This one that I just took now, all I have to do is just to split it into 3 places. So you're going to go ahead and cut 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to just cut it all the way to the end, each one. The first piece, the second piece, and then the third piece. And then I'm going to just get my fabric. The part with the fold is going to be the part that will count as 1. And you'll notice that I notched it here. So make sure that you place everything correctly before you start to cut. And then I'm going to go ahead and place my first fabric at the end, which is 1. Place it at the end here. And it's perfect. Get the second one. Place it. I know you might not be seeing it, but just make sure you notice it by the end that has this white thing. So make sure that the end is touching the end of your clothes, right? Because you can't use this part to measure, because remember, it has a curve. It has this curve here. So you can't use this part here. You can't use this part to measure. You only use the end here to measure it. So I'm just going to eyeball it. So this is the second one by the center. the second one, the first one, and then the third one is going to be at the very end of my cloth, making sure again that it's touching the end of my cloth. And then all I have to do is just to get my chalk and give it a curve. So my curve is going to start here and connect all the way from here to the last one. You see? So that is it here. So now all I have to do, just eyeball it like this and then go ahead and cut. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off this excess here. So when it comes to adding this gather, people always ask, like, where do you start together? Guys, just notice that this is the point I'll start together. From the tip of this hair, that is where my gather will start. After this third one now, all this part I'll sew it in straight. Then from this part all the way is where you will gather. All these parts towards the curve, you have to sew it straight because there's no fabric that you didn't add any room for gathering it here. It's just after this line now, that is where all our room started. We started adding it. So I'm going to sew all these parts towards the curve, and then the rest of it is where I'm going to gather into the side. You understand? So let me show you for each one. So let's say this is it here, right? So I'm just going to take one piece from the two. Like I said, I already notched the end here, and then you're going to take it like this. From the end, at like the end like this, you're going to sew it straight all the way. Sew it straight from the end all the way until you get to somewhere here. Then you start to gather everything into the side like this. I'm going to do it on both sides of the cloth now. So guys, my dress is done. As you can see, this is what it looks like. I really like this dress. This is like the first fleet dress I actually like. So guys, if you want, everything took about 4 yards, right? But if you would want yours like to have as a much puff by the side like the one the girl is wearing, then you might want to use more than just what I used on the side. Like I said, I used the whole 45 inch of an Akara, so you might want to add more to yours, right? So maybe if you cut, you can use the 45 and then add extra half to it, you understand, and then join it to the side. It will increase your flavor. I prefer it this way. So that is it. And then after I finished, I went ahead towards the side and I added about just half of an inch, just a little dart that is 3 inch long or 2 inch long on both sides towards the armhole here. So that's it. I use bias to run through my neckline, use bias to run the armhole, the same thing, because the jacket already has lining. I can't use lining again on the dress. It will finish me. So this is what it looks like here, guys. So you see, the jacket is done, everything is done. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Guys, please like, share and subscribe. Bye.